What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Lawson's Finest Liquids, and they're out of Waitsfield, Vermont, and this is their Chinooker'd IPA. So this is an American IPA that comes in at 6.5% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review, and this can is just under 7 weeks old. So we got another relatively new release here from Lawson's. I don't know if this is actually new this year or just like a seasonal favorite returning. All I know is I've never had this one before, and based on the name, they're brewing this one with Chinook hops. I'm loving old school American IPAs, West Coast IPAs more and more over the last year, so I had to pick this one up. The last beer I reviewed from them was their Double Sunshine, compared it to Sip of Sunshine. It was a fantastic time, so I think we're going to have a good time today. On the side here, it says, our traditional American IPA recipe is chock full of Chinook hops bursting with pine and citrus aromas. Firm bitterness and a balanced malt profile give way to waves of flavor. We will see about that, Lawson's Finest, but I'm here for it. So yeah, I saw this one. I was like, we got to give it a go. So I picked it up, and I would have reviewed this one like three and a half weeks ago, and when it was a bit fresher, but came down with a bad cold. Put me out of commission for a couple weeks. Lost my taste and smell for over a week. Wasn't a good time. But this one should be okay. I find that a lot of Lawson's beers hold up well, especially considering this one was in my my fridge ever since I picked it up from the store, which was also in the fridge. So how does this one look? Well, this looks kind of like a, like an old school kind of IPA. Again, a little bit darker on my camera as is. In person, it looks more like that, I would say. Like, a little bit of a lighter kind of like orange color. The clarity is not great. It has more of a hazy look. So this is more of like your old school Vermont IPAs, okay? That's what this kind of looks like. 2 fingers of a nice creamy looking head, a little bit of bigger bubbles mixed in with smaller bubbles, but yeah, off-white. Yeah, it looks nice. Looks really, really nice. Let's get a nose. That smells awesome. Dude, that smells... I know Lawson's doesn't mess around too much with, natural flavors or anything like that, especially when it comes to IPAs, but this has a little bit of like a... This might be an indication that's a little bit older, even though it's just under 7 weeks old. We get a little bit of like an iced tea vibe, but it works so well in this beer. I don't know how to explain it other than it has like a lemony iced tea kind of nose. Definitely resinous pine. There's a nice floral kick. Grapefruit for sure. Like a white bittering grapefruit, orange, and a little bit of lemon. It's like you had like a unsweetened iced tea that you put a slice of lemon into. And from my experience, usually iced tea when it comes to hop forward beers means they're extremely old. Like the first time I ever got that was I got an old can of 3 Floyd Zombie Dust. And it was probably like 4 or 5 months old. And I remember drinking that one. It tasted like straight on unsweetened iced tea with lemon. The entire thing tasted like that. There was like no remnants of like hops or anything. And I didn't mind it. It didn't taste like zombie dust whatsoever, but I didn't mind that flavor profile. This has definitely vibes of that, but other things going on. Dude, this smells, I love iced tea. Unsweetened, sweetened, whatever, doesn't matter. So that accentuation of the iced tea with the base beer makes me super excited about this, even though it's not stylistically correct whatsoever. I want to get into it. Cheers, everyone. Doesn't taste like iced tea. It tastes like deliciousness in a glass. Listen, I've had some good conversations with folks over the past couple months. A lot of people out there, your palates are changing. Some folks have told me, hey, we should shy away from hazies and fruited sours and big, stouts, and I want more lagers. And other people saying, I was a lager guy, but now I tried an IPA and I love it. And that's the beauty about our palates. They can constantly change, especially over time. Whether it's 6 months, 9 months, a year, but like my palate has changed immensely in the past year where I crave beers like this. I absolutely crave them. I want bitterness. I want dryness. I want all the hop goodness that you can provide, especially like a brewery like Lawson's, but I want, at the very least, to be balanced. And at this point, I want to lean more dry and bitter. Never used to be like that. I got into beer that was sweeter, that wasn't super hoppy and wasn't over the top with bitterness and dryness. Now, my palate's did a complete 180, and I'm here for it. This is fucking delicious. This is absolutely delicious to my palate. Is it like a mind-blowing, just over-the-top, world-class beer? No, but beers don't need to be that to really enjoy them. And this, I'm really enjoying off that first sip. Body's like medium, kind of in that realm, 6.5%. I'm A-okay with it. The mouthfeel is an old school mouthfeel. Good carbonation, moderately, maybe a touch over moderately carbonated, spritzy on the palate, smooth going down. You know the drill. The taste, though, front to back, old school American IPA, old school West Coast IPA. There's a huge residual bitterness that keeps on building as I take sips. What's funny is as I hold the beer away from me like this, it looks more appropriate in the glass now. And when I get closer, it gets darker. Like the beer is not, I don't know, it looks a little bit better now than it did before. Anyway, this is delicious. So forefront, it's tons of citrus. It's bittering, pithy, rindy, zesty citrus. So it's orange, like a mandarin orange meets a white grapefruit, maybe a little bit of like a lemon lime zest in there, all at the forefront. And then a little bit of like a juicy kind of citrus quality hits right after that. Passes through, midway through the palate, get maybe a touch of like a mango, maybe a bit of pineapple, but it's not, it's more like a ripened fruit. It's not like super sweet or candied or anything. There's a very small, minute underlying crackery malt kind of sensation from the malt itself. And then the finish, huge floral and resinous pine bitterness. It almost has, so with Chinook for me, a lot of times I'll get like that blue spruce or just straight on sprucey kind of piney vibes. And it kind of has that. It has this like spicy kind of like pine, sprucey, like a spruce tip kind of vibe on the back of the palate for me. It finishes bone dry with a, again, smack dab in the middle of a moderate to full bitterness, but I would say it's a little bit more approaching full bitterness. Each sip, it's just building, and there's a huge bitterness just on the back of the palate. Super crushable for me. I wouldn't have said that about this beer 2 years ago. I'd be like, huh? No way. I don't want this. Took 3 sips. You know, my mouth is devoid of any saliva, which it is. Like, after about 5 to 10 seconds after taking a sip, it's just, my mouth is just bone dry. Like it's like a cat's tongue sandpaper. And then go back for a sip, you know, wets the palate, and then again dries out. I used to hate that sensation. Now I like it. I don't know what's going on. Listen, you pretty much know how, I would assume if you follow my channel, and you have been following my channel for, you know, at least a half a year, if not a couple years, if not since the inception of the channel, you know kind of how I rate beer, you know, how I feel about a beer. And you can tell that I'm going to give this a high score and that I like this beer. And I dare I say love this beer. It's a no-frills, old school American IPA, Vermont IPA with a shit ton of Chinook hops, 6.5%. It tastes great. It's exactly what it's advertised as. Nothing more, nothing less. I could see people drinking this and being like, oh yeah, been there, done that. Kind of like I did with the Trillium review that you'll see, I think last week, where I reviewed their Mass Ave, and I said to myself, that is a good hazy double IPA. And I gave it a 4.15, good score. But I said, been there, done that. I've had a beer similar to that 50 times, 100 times, a couple hundred times in my life. Like I've had beers like that. Not that exact beer, but similar beers in both characteristics, ABV, the whole nine. Not a bad beer, just not setting a new standard. Same thing with this, but I like this even more. I've had beers like this 7, 8, 10 years ago. But back then, my palate didn't appreciate it like I'm appreciating this beer now. And that's kind of the spiel that I'll end on, is that this is delicious for what it is. I don't think it's going to move a ton of people, but it's moving me. I feel like, and I don't know if Joe over at Joe's Arcade has had this one. Somebody needs to send him this beer. Probably maybe a little bit too old by the time you get it to him. Maybe he reviewed it and I just didn't see it. Maybe I reviewed and even commented on it. I'm fucking old, I remember. But Joe needs a beer like this because this is old school through and through. He'd appreciate this like so many other beer tubers and folks in the beer scene. Anyway, Chinooker'd IPA from Lawson's. I'm going to give this a low 4.5 out of 5. I'm going to 4.45. Why? Well, fucking numbers. Who cares? You just know I like this beer. Whether I give it a 4.4 or 4.5 doesn't matter. It fucking doesn't matter at all. Ratings don't matter. I don't think so anyway. Just the person who's rating it should matter too. Price point availability, I think I paid like $4.50 for that can. Typically when these seasonal rotating offerings from them get kicked out, they're usually like $16 to $18 a 4-pack. So You know, if I paid $4.50, probably on the higher end, but whatever, it is what it is. You always pay more for singles anyway, no matter where I shop anyway. That's how it is in New York State. And availability, this is one of those limited releases to 9 different states. On their website, they do have a beer finder, and this is under the limited 9-state release beer. So if you're one of the 9 states that is listed, then you should see this one. If not, I guess not. I don't know. But I'm so happy that we did here in the Buffalo, New York area, because this is delicious. 4.45 out of 5, 6.5%, you can't tell. This is just, again, if I would have drank this in 2018, 2017, I'd be like, oh, this is all right. I'd give it like a 3.75, maybe a 4, something like that. Way better than that. But again, to each their own. Beer subjective. Everybody has different palates. And if you don't like old school American IPAs or West Coast IPAs or old school Vermont IPAs, you're probably not going to like this one, but it is what it is. Anyway, if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it. Delicious Chinook IPA. Till the next one. Cheers.